Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. So we meet today, which I'm going to proceed with the topic 2 or chapter 2, the manager, the organization and team. So we have discussed about the chapter 1, which is the course introduction and the world of project management. So this lecture will focusing on project management topic number 2, identifying project needs and solution. So to recap our chapter 1 in our last lecture, so it is very important for you to understand to define or the definition of the project and project management or PM. And then it's very important for you to understand or to differentiate the project characteristics. And I have talked about the required competence in project management in terms of skill for negotiation, communications, and so on. We have also looked into the project management constraint, which has three. The first one is the scope, time, and the cost. And I've also introduced to you regarding the life cycles of the project. It can be the S or J shapes. And we also look into some of the risk and uncertainties in implement the project management. And lastly, we have discussed about how are we going to select or choose a project, whether by numerical or non-numerical. So I'll show you the video of basically to summarize what is project management is all about.
Everywhere you look, projects are underway. Whether you're recruiting a new member of staff or constructing the world's tallest building, every project needs a manager to ensure its success. Someone with their eye on every detail at every stage, from inception to completion. Put simply, project management is about getting things done. It's about knowing exactly what you want to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, and how long it will take. It's about ensuring that everyone involved shares and understands those aims before the first steps are taken, and that they continue to as the end of the project, whatever it is, draws closer. Because successful projects don't just happen. They're not just a long list of jobs to be done. They're a masterpiece of planning, management, organization and communication, a carefully choreographed sequence of events where progress is smooth and steady. One step leads seamlessly to the next, and every possible hitch has been considered and counted. A successful project needs people with the right skills and knowledge at its heart. Working together, a well-managed, motivated team with clear roles, responsibilities and reporting lines will carry a project to its conclusion without compromising on time, cost or quality. Project management is a wonderful thing, but it's easy to forget how the world might look without it. Because at its best, project management is virtually invisible. It's the absence of problems and the prevention of failure. But behind every successful project, whether it's changing the way a company works or the organization of an important event, there's an unsung hero, the project manager, who kept everything and everyone on track to ensure the delivery of the desired result. At APM, we support project managers in all the amazing work they do every day. If you'd like to know more about project management, visit us at apm.org.uk/whatispm. Everywhere you look.
Okay, so that's basically a brief introduction regarding project management. So for this topic, the manager, the organization and the team will be elaborated in this lecture. So, a project manager usually will be selected after a project has been selected. So, it's a person who will manage the project which you have finally decided. And the job of project manager is to make sure that the project is properly planned, implemented, and completed. So it's like a boss, the leader of the project. So we call it project manager. And sometimes project manager will be tasked to identify the right human resources or to recruit qualified people for the project, because he's going to manage the project. So it is also a right task for him or for her to choose the right people which will involve in the project implementation. As a project manager also, it's very important to learn or acquire some of the knowledge regarding project tools and techniques. So it will be easy for the project manager to implement the project and to make sure that project is successful. So learning is easy, but to succeed as a project manager most of the time is very, very difficult, because you have to plan, you have to monitor the project, and you have to deal with the people who work within the project. Some are very friendly, very helpful, but some can also be difficult to be handled. So the important thing, or the important criteria to select a project manager or a leader, there are few numbers. Number one is the credibility. The project manager should have credibility or license, or he has been known to have technical knowledge and the capability to manage in terms of the administrative credibility. So he or her not only know technical knowledge, but he or she should also have the knowledge in terms of doing administration. Number two, it could be the sensitivity to political issues and interpersonal conflict. Project manager should also quite sensitive with what's happening surrounding the organization or the environment regarding the political issues, or in terms of interpersonal conflict among co-workers or among other workers. Of course, project manager is a leader, so he or she should have leadership. You should have knowledge in different style of leading an organization or project, and the most important thing also, it has also a very good ethics. This is meant duly because of project manager only has the view of the entire project to provide the necessary leadership. So he is the only one who knows the overall project implementation, the overall details of the things that is required to implement the project. And it also must conduct the project team the most effective ways and make sure that all team members participate in making sure the project can be completed successfully. And of course, another aspect of leadership is a strong sense of ethics. That means he is not taking any involved in any corruption activities. His honest, sincere attitude as a leader. And of course, most of the project is involve level of complexity, a level of difficulty. So it is very important as a project manager to have the ability to handle stress. For your information, project management is also a profession. That means it is a profession to be a project manager. That means you can handle a project which you have the expertise. So it is a quite demanding project, quite demanding job where you can work as a full-time project manager. Therefore, mastering the use of project management tools, which is in this class, is required, especially for you to become a successful project manager or become a leader. Project Management Institute is a project-oriented organization with more than 440,000 members worldwide. So there are an association called PMI, which accept members and also organize all related project management knowledge and also activities. So you can find the Project Management Institute book which published with the title of Project Management Body of Knowledge, or PMBOK. So published by Project Management Institute for anybody who like to become a project manager as their profession. So these are the books as mentioned earlier: A Guide to Project Management Body of Knowledge, or PMBOK guide. This is 6th edition, published in September 2017. So having the organization, you can also enroll some of the courses and some of the certification provided by the PMI professional certification. It has a project management professional, or PMP. They also have program management professional, PGMP. They also have a certification portfolio management professional, PFMP, certified associate in project management, CAPM. They also have PMI professionals in business analysis, PMI PBA. PMI Agile Certified Practitioner, PMI ACP, and also PMI Risk Management Professional, PMI RMP, PMI Scheduling Professional, PMI SP. So these are the certification provided or certified by Project Management Institute for any of the interested members to become certified. So basically, these statistics taken in 2019. So you can see that there are total members of 570,000 across 218 countries and territories. So they have a CAPM number of certification, which total of 38,000 plus. They have PMP, a professional certification, produced more than millions. So these are quite huge numbers of people who has been certified for the particular project management certification. So the Project Management Institute also have a chapter in Malaysia. They call it PMI-MY, the Project Management Institute Malaysian chapter. So it is a chapter based on the Project Management Institute, and which is the PMI is the world's largest not-for-profit membership association for the project management profession, and it is founded in 1994 to advocate and advance project management excellence and discipline in Malaysia. So you can have a search on this PMIMI to know more about this chapter in Malaysia. Here is something that you might find it interesting. The salary for technical project manager. Technical project manager is also considered as a project manager field. So you can see that based on the experience, within 1 to 4 years, you can manage to get 86,000 ringgit Malaysia. So with the experience of 5 to 9, it will keep increasing. If you have more than 10 to 19 years of experience, you might get more than 133,000 pay. So this is also slightly the pay by experience level for project manager in IT. So you can see based on the experience, the salary keep increasing after the more than 20 plus years. You might find the salary a bit of declining a bit, but it shows that if you want to have more salaries, you should be a project manager, not just an IT people who do the technical job. And here is paid by experience level for project manager for software development. You can see that as a project experience level project manager, the salary increase exponentially by time. So as contrary to the one that I show you, for project manager information technology, it will increase, and then at the end it will decrease a little bit. Similarly for the technical project manager, it will go down. But for in this case, for project manager for software development, so it will keep increasing by as more experience that you have gained. So these are the studies that has been done by PMIMI regarding the salaries of project management profession. There are also an initiation of JKR Malaysia. They have Malaysian Asset and Project Management Association, which is MEPMA. So it is implement MEPMA. The objective of MEPMA is to implement competency standard in asset and project management. They are internationally benchmarked and contextualized to Malaysia. So they set up standards on how the project management and asset management should be conducted in Malaysia. And a project management certification scheme that provide a structured project management career path for anybody that have interest to become a successful project manager. So in terms of the career path for the project manager, so usually it will start from the below low level, start with work not as a manager on a small project, maybe like a programmer or hardware designer, which you work only by yourself, receiving instruction from your senior, and maybe later on you will move on to a larger project. So rather than working on very small project or single project, you might work on multiple project which is larger than the previous one, and after that you can move on to a project engineer or deputy project manager once you have gained experiences implementing a larger project activities. So the next step will be, of course, you will become a project manager, or to lead a project for a smaller project, not a big one, but rather than working on individuals activities like programming, hardware designing. So you already become a manager for a particular smaller project. Then after a few years, after you have successfully implement successfully a small project, so you can move on to a larger project. Then you might be lucky, based on your experiences, the success rate of your project that you have handled, you might be given to manage a mega project. So basically, you should start from the bottom level as a worker, and then from there you learn. Later on, you will become a manager. So that these are the compulsory steps for you to become a project manager. So as a project managers, you have roles in making sure that the project is successful. First one, you become a facilitator to facilitate the people's involved with the project. So you must, as a facilitator, you must ensure that those working on the project have the appropriate knowledge, resources, and time to accomplish their responsibility. So this is for you to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do, and you will assist them if they have some problem or some issues in order to complete some of the tasks given for them to do. And you must also know in terms of how the systems works, and you must make sure that you understand on how everything impact the overall project. So because it involves lots of activities, each activities will have consequences if it's not being successfully completed. And as a project manager, you should be able to communicate well. You should be a good communicator, which you communicate effectively with the various stakeholders of the project. Stakeholders mean that people who have the importance of the project or the benefit of the project. It can be the customers, your manager, your general manager. So you have to be effectively communicate with these people. So stakeholder, that's been mentioned earlier. The definition is actually the all individuals or groups who have an active part in the project. It can be potentially impact either positively or negatively in implementing the project. So sets of project stakeholders include two, which is internal stakeholders and also external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders can be the top management. Of course, you are the project manager, but you are working for a company, so the company has the owner or the president. So you are responsible to answer all the question regarding your project to the top management. And of course, you have responsibility to for the internet stakeholder of the accountant, where you require their help in terms of financial finance of the project and so on. And there are also other functional managers within the company who engage in this particular project. And internal stakeholders can also be the project team members that you have selected who are involved in the particular project. The external stakeholders can be the clients, and also can be your competitors, and also the suppliers who will supply the machineries, the materials, or the facilities that you required to implement the project. And also the stakeholders involve the environmental officers, a department, and also the political individual, the consumer and other intervener groups, which has some sort of involved in that particular project. So you have the responsibility to engage with all of these stakeholders, and should have a very good communication skills to communicate with the stakeholders. You as a project manager, you have the parent company, which has I'll give you example, like University Malaysia Police. So they have their own management system structure. So you are involved in a project. I'll give you example of project like the MPP, right? Majlis Perwakilan Pelajar. So you are within that project to engage with the activities of the students, the student association, and so on. So the communication with the project manager is directly with the senior management, the client, of course with the project team, and the outside interested parties, or the external stakeholders. So the dash line is a communication which has no direct link between the project team with the senior management, or the client to the senior management. So these are indirect link, which is not supposed, or is not norm for them to directly communicate regarding the project. So in whatever ways, if the project team would like to suggest anything to the senior manager regarding the project, it must go through the project manager. Similarly to the client, so it is appropriate for the client to request for any changes of the project scope through the project manager, and the project manager in this case, like a middleman, which will communicate as a medium of communication between senior manager, client, stakeholders, and the project team. So like project manager is the center of the entities regarding the project. So there are different views of stakeholders. It can be, for example, the client, the parent organization, the project team, and the public, which define the success and failure in different ways. So they can have their own opinion. They might come up with a new scope. They might question regarding the cost of the project, and so on. So they might come lots of question among the different stakeholders, that as a project manager you need to entertain and try to solve the issues among the stakeholders. For example, if the clients wants changes of the parent organization, client wants changes and the parent organization wants profits more. So the client wants to have more functionalities of the product that you're going to produce, but at the same time the organizations want to have more profit with reducing the cost. So these are the conflict between the client and the parent organization, or the president, in this case the senior management, regarding the output of the product that you're going to produce in your project. So project manager will need to align the goals of all the stakeholders requirement for the purpose of the project to be completed. So if you look for trade-off, we will find that. If we look for synergies, we may find them too. So you as a project manager or the middleman to negotiate with the client and the parent organization on how you can agree to settle the issues. So therefore, it's very important to identify and analyze the stakeholders' requirement. So before any goals of the project to be agreed, so you have to make sure what are the requirements of the shareholders, and the stakeholders must be identified and a database created with their key information. So you have to make sure all requirements by the stakeholders must be taken into account before the goals of your project can be finalized. And all the comment or requirement changes issued by the stakeholders, you need to take a note or issue a log of all the changes, new requirement, so that it will be used to make sure that you have solved the problem. So usually project manager uses tools to analyze them to gain insight about how to manage the relationship with them. So they have to identify clearly what are the requirements by the stakeholders. So this is example of power interest grid method, where you have to identify with the low interest and the high interest. In this case, keep in hospital situation, you have to keep the radiologist satisfied at all time, so that they can work accordingly. And also you have to make sure the cardiologist and the administration should also look into based on their requirement. And of course, in terms of patient and families, this can be low priority or low interest that you can consider in compare to the radiologist. For the technician who work especially in the hospitals, also considered, you can put it as a low interest grid in order for you to make sure. So this is how you're going to make sure in terms of the priority of how you can fulfill their requirement in a hospital environment. And also based on stakeholders, you can identify or you can assess their metrics commitment assessment by comparing the current and desired or greater commitment is needed for the test technician and especially the radiologist. So whether the cardiologist can be changed from strongly support to reduce the commitment of the cardiologist, or you can interchange the stakeholders commitment assessment from strongly support to from neutral to strongly support. So these are the situation where you need to identify their priority to make sure that the project can be completed successfully. So this is generally how you manage manage people on how you're going to identify their requirement and to make sure that you are able to finalize the scope and the goals of the project. And it is very important to managing stakeholders activities, um, activities by managing it. Number one is to by obtaining and confirming stakeholders' commitment to the project success at the appropriate stages in the project. So you have to make sure that who are among the stakeholders will involve in project implementation, and who can you communicate in order if there are some issues occur, and also how you going to, if some of the changes of the requirement or scope need to be approved by which stakeholders. So you have to understand the requirement of each stakeholder so that you are able to identify or solve some of the problem, and and identify who can make the final decision in order for you to complete the project. Some of the time nowadays, I think we not only involve physically in our activities, some also have the term they call it virtual or project manager, which you are not working within the same geological place, but you are working basically virtually. So it can happen where you as a project manager reside somewhere in other countries, and the other team members involved at another location. So this is what they call it, virtual project manager, or online project manager, or online project implementation. So in this case, the communication is very very important, because you are not within that area. So the progress of the project need to be monitored much frequent, and it is very important any issues related to project implementation can be resolved as fast as possible.